Okay, welcome everyone. And I mean that welcome whenever you might hear this replay, because I really want you to get the most out of this presentation. And the reason I'm doing it is because I just love people so much. I just love everyone. And I wanted to give something back that would help us all understand our lives, who we are, and the world in which we live now, because we've all seen that things have changed, and there's a reason for that. And that's what I really wanted to talk about, and why I wanted everyone to have this information in this presentation. And I'm going to talk about why I'm doing it, who it's going to be for, why you'd want to listen, so you'll have all of that. I'm going to begin my presentation so that we will have it all there. And I'm so pleased that I have Yarna here, which you will understand why he's brought so much to me, to this work, and everyone will understand why that is true. So, okay, blueprint to live a magnificent life. And I want to say first that I know that everyone has the ability to live that magnificent life because it was born within them. I've just recently changed the opening to my website to "You are a gift to humankind." That's every single person. And I want everyone to understand that, because then they start living very different lives. We start creating a very different world.
I find this work is very powerful. They change a lot very quickly. It's like quite surprising how things are changing for me.
I want to say how grateful I am that you've done this. And the time that you've put through on this is just amazing. And as we get older and we put through something like this into the world, you don't know the benefits of it until years later.
I just want to thank you for the program. Probably a year or two ago, if there was a tough decision to make, especially about money or anything like that, I would let fear and worry guide me away from a decision that might have helped me grow.
I have moved. I have made some positive changes. Hey, good, bad, or ugly, you did it. That's the main thing.
When you say the time is now, and I always appreciate it, because now more than ever, I feel a little bit more satisfied with myself because especially lately, I keep leaving a project not finished.
I love the program. I love the questions, but I think that being aware of everything that's inside of you and bringing it out onto paper, it really does make you step forward in that area.
The way the questions penetrate into your memory and into your past experiences is so unique. Yeah, it really goes deep very, very quickly. I mean, I'm only on day 3, but the way like the questions are presented and the things you read before and the whole steps you go through, probably a lot of people's experiences, but it goes really deep, really, really quickly.
I mean, every day has its difficulties, but like, it's better than it was. You know, I mean, I'm doing more things that I enjoy, and like I find that I personally feel like I'm meant to do my book and everything, and then with the acting, I'm working on all that.
I've been taking so much courses, like especially with this pandemic, I approach different from Tony Robbins, from Bob Proctor, from Canfield, and also I've been following Abraham Hicks, but never really brought me the result that I wanted to do it. So I'm very, I mean, this course is very more, I found that I think it's a bit faster.
Roger, I just wanted to say thank you again, because a few years ago I realised that voice coaching wasn't the only thing that I could do, and that I had something else. But I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was.
I wanted you to see that first. That was from December of 2021. And if you would have told me that those people would have said that about me, I would have told you you were wrong. This is why I'm doing this presentation, because I know everyone has the ability to produce results like that in their lives and in the lives of others. And let me tell you who this presentation is for, why you would be here. Anyone who wants to discover their perfect place in the world, anyone who wants to remove their limitations, anyone who wants to step up their game and move on to the next level. anyone who wants to become confident and conquer their low self-esteem, anyone who wants to move beyond their belief in failure, anyone who wants to experience loving relationships, anyone who wants to welcome abundance in their lives, finances, health, all of it. Those are the things I could not do, but these are the premises that I am putting forth today because you will understand them all. You were born perfect. Your authentic self is the container for everything. When you arrive at your authentic self, you will have all the money, success, and prosperity you ever wanted. Your life journey is valuable to much more than just you. There were no accidental events or circumstances in your life. The only trouble you will experience in applying those ideas to your life exists in your thinking. You were born to fulfill a mission. You were meant to align with your soul's purpose. That is the work that I want you to understand and what I have done. Now, my life story will demonstrate the validity of every concept I've mentioned, and you can embody all of those concepts into your life experience. It will be the gateway to your extraordinary life. Now, I started out as, I'm going to give you this thumbnail of my life, because if I gave you everything, it would be way too long. We'd be here for hours. But as a young kid, I was afraid of everything. I started experiencing many difficulties by the age of 12, even some before that. But the age of 12 is where they first started to show up. That guy on the left-hand side, the guy who's directing, and on the both of them, he first met me when I was 12. I thought that he told me something was wrong with my voice. He was a choir director. I just had this insecurity that stayed with me forever and started affecting every aspect of my life. He kept pushing me forth. He kept saying, no, you have something. I said, no, I could not believe that. We will accept things that we will allow our consciousness to move to. Now, what happened as a result of that is that I left everything. I had no direction of where I was going. I'm 19 years old. I walked out of college because I thought there's no direction for me to go in my life. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had done some accounting because I thought, well, my father had done that. Maybe I'll be good at that. So this is me at 19 working at a company called International Harvester in Chicago, Illinois, which is where I'm from. And I stayed there for 4 years because I was stuck. I didn't know what I was supposed to do in my life. Then I came back later. I went through a whole string of things. I moved from Chicago to New York. I lived there for a while. Had all kinds of difficulties. I come back to I moved to Los Angeles, which is where I live now. I've been here since 1982. Then I met this guy who was the most intimidating person in the world to me at that time because he was a vocal coach and he started to say, I had this talent. I said, no, I don't. He said, yes, you do. And I want you to coach. And I had to quit my job to do that, but I was terrified. But he says, you will be better than me one day. That didn't make any sense. He had coached every star known, every celebrity, every personality. His name was Seth Riggs, and you might know of him or have heard of him, but he's still doing it today in his 80s, and he's amazing. But that didn't sit with me. I still got lost. Then I created a business, a coaching business that started to give me everything. The house and the top was where I lived. I thought my life was set. This was about 1994, and then everything changed. I became very ill. I had lost myself in a relationship. This is why I said, I know you can have valuable relationships. I didn't know that. I lost myself, and because of that, I lost my business. Then I became ill. I ended up in the hospital with a strange disease that no one could figure out, not even the doctors, and I ended up losing, being there for almost a month, actually, and losing part of my left foot. I experienced more pain and difficulty than anyone can possibly imagine. And that's what was going on. At the same time, our world was going a little bit crazy. We had some racial divisions. We had a lot of difficulty going on, and I'd lived through so much of it beginning in the 60s. And you can see in our world today, there's that element coming up because we repeat things in our world. But I had lived so much of it, so I knew that I had some benefits, some hope that I could bring to others. I was always so impressed with Dr. Martin Luther King, who I happened to see when I was 15 years old in person, and he inspired me so much, but I thought I could never do that. This is the belief that I had in my life during that time. Then I started doing something else. I said I needed to study things. I took such a deep dive into personal development. Now, some of you may not even know what these are because they were so long ago, but on the right-hand side, you see those are cassette tapes. I know young people say, what are cassettes? That's how we used to listen to music. We didn't have anything like what we have today, CDs or internet. We had none of that, but I was desperate to find information. So I put so much study in that went on forever. However, then something else happened, and this is the part that I want you to understand because it explains why that first video came about, how I could get those people to understand that about themselves. In 1988, at the same time that I started to make changes in my life, I decided to do a practice called automatic writing, only because I was lost and I was desperate, and I read an article about it. And so I sat down and it was just meditating, and I'd been meditating already, and I said, I want to see what happens with this. I read the article that I read was from some business guy in New York who said that he was having difficulty with his business and he decided to do this. So I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. I did it for a few days, then something started coming through, which was crazy to me. That's how it felt. And it startled me because I started writing things that gave me answers. It gave me answers to so many things. And I just said, I'm going to do this every single day. And I have done that for more than 35 years. I would sit and write, receive this information, put it together, and I used it to transform my life. And this happened throughout all my illnesses, my addictions, everything. This is the information that gave me the key to do this. But the other thing that I did was I was afraid of it and I hid it. This is why my quest now is for every person to own their authentic self, because we are all born with gifts and abilities that develop sometimes in different ways. But if you've been told that it's wrong, you can't get there and you can't own who you are. And that's what I did for so long. And it had to end. And so then in 2007, I was exposed, let's just say that, because someone found some of my writings and said they helped them so much. So I started sending them out. And then eventually I created a website, but I was still hiding out. I called myself the reluctant mystic because I didn't want people to know what I was doing. I didn't, because I thought they're not going to believe that I've healed all of these things doing this. So, but I wrote the book because I could feel there was such a level of fear in the world, but I had moved through so much fear and I had done it with the information that I had received from my channeling, from my Wilhelm. That is the name that came to me when I was writing because I was uncomfortable. I wasn't going to use my name. So this is what came up. Now, later, I found out why that information was valuable, why that name was resonant for me, because we all are connected to source. We're all connected to something that is beyond what we know. Whether we accept that or not, we all are. My goal is to help people connect to that power that is within them. So that's why I wrote the book. That all led to Your Life Operating Instructions. Now, this is the thing that happened, which I want you to understand. I was walking down the street in 2021, and I hear very clearly now through my communications that I was given everything in 2012 to help us move through this transition. Didn't make any sense to me. What are we moving through? I didn't understand, but I'm writing all the information. And they said, we gave you something that would help so many people move through this period in your world, which they called a restructuring, meaning things were going to be different. All the things that we have seen happening in our world recently over the last several years, I was receiving that information. And you'll understand when you see this particular message. Now, I'm going to read this. It's a little long, but I've got to read it because I want you to understand this is exactly how I would hear information. Okay, you may never sleep again. We thought that title might be intriguing at this time for many of you, but we are also using it both figurative and literally. To Roger, it feels as if it might be his permanent reality due to how we have continually disrupted his sleep. We never do anything without purpose and reason. Yesterday, Roger was attempting to complete his online program, which has been in the works for years. He sat there yesterday with a problem he hadn't expected, and each of you will experience it in your life. Roger had so much information he had called from us that he couldn't decide what to use. Part of that indecision was born out of his constant doubt and uncertainty, as you have experienced in your life. We will offer you things now that will make sense. We will also tie it into your current world events, as we promised. Roger took a break from trying to figure this out and began listening to Napoleon Hill. We have mentioned the connection to Hill, which was perplexing to Roger. It became more prominent last night to the degree Roger could no longer listen, and the amount of energy surging through his body became uncomfortable, so he went to bed. True to form, at 3 a.m., we awakened him, but this time we also had his roommate, who was currently thousands of miles away, send Roger a text containing a video that included information that the significance of which would not escape his awareness. In the video, two gentlemen went through a process of helping others discover themselves by owning their emotions. 30 years ago, we gave Roger something similar to which a friend inadvertently decided to take our words and turn them into a calligraphy framed and hanging on the wall beside him. Your emotions are not an end of themselves. They are designed to lead you to your beliefs. Your beliefs may or may not be based in truth. Now, you each have held ideas about who you thought you would be in this life, but now you are awakening to the truth of who you are. The conditions of the world are aiding you in your quest. Now we will explain our statement about restructuring and the United States. If you take time to study the history of your world over centuries, you possess records you might read. You will discover a pattern of evolution. Humans individually begin to awaken to who they are. Upon that realization, they expect and even demand more for themselves. As we have said continually, you are all connected. So what you do individually adds to the collective. We will not make this a book today, for we will continue this conversation for a while, as your world will remain in this manner until you see the outcome you desire. Please make no mistake. We are using the collective you here, which each global shift you have made, you uncover more of your goal, unconditional love. The United States proclaimed itself the leader of the free world, and you will restructure yourselves to achieve that goal. We told you, you all will be fine. Wilhelm. That's the information I was starting to receive, but I had to put it together in a way that I could present it to others. But this is why I knew that I had to do the program that I put out. I had to also come to accepting that I was a sage and mystic. And there were other things about that made it difficult. And these are just a description of what a sage is like, basically. And I have known that I've always had this ability to connect with people, to see who they are, to understand their challenges, their difficulties. And then as a mystic, I was one who claims or believes in the possibility of achieving insight into mysteries transcending ordinary human knowledge, as by direct communication with the divine or immediate intuition in a state of spiritual ecstasy. We all have that ability. We all have intuition. Now, the only difference was I decided because I needed to through my own life, I decided to listen. And I developed this skill to be able to receive this information. Now, let's talk.
Hello, I'm Demetra.
My name's Clarity.
My name is Cody.
My name is Lisa.
My name is Marla.
My name is Anna.
My name is Terry, and I'm a student of Roger Burnley.
I'm a student of Roger Burnley.
I lived almost in my body. I was afraid of a lot of things that I didn't even realize I was afraid of.
I did have some really challenging situations in my life, and it messed me up pretty bad, actually. It took me a long, long time to recover from the early part of my life.
I was just starting college, and I didn't know what the future held for me.
I'm a mum with 4 kids. We have a business, probably going through some marital issues and all sorts of things.
Before I even knew about him or anything, it's like he read me like a book. He just was so intuitive and honed in on my fears and my issues very nicely and very gently, but just kind of like pushed the button and said, here, this is what we're going to do now.
That message came at a really important time for me because I was making big decisions in my life about changing jobs and changing careers. and moving to another part of the country. And I don't think that I would have been able to move forward with all of those things because I would have been too scared before.
I think the ways that he has helped me is just kind of, he's kind of given less voice to kind of my own like self-doubt and more voice to kind of my own intuition and like things that I like think or kind of want to do or think I could probably do. He'll be like, oh yeah, of course you're gonna do that. Like it's like the most obvious, clear thing ever. So I think he's just like very validating.
I feel so much more empowered than I did ever before in my life. It's given me more vision, more clarity, and it's allowed me to visualize what I want in my life.
Whoa. It was kind of like, I was like, what are you, a wizard?
Now everything seems to be falling into place. My seeking of spiritual meaning beyond the religion of my family of origin did not allow the things that I do today.
He's what, 70, 71? It also shows no matter how old you are or how young, you've still got amazing things you can do. Because, you know, I'm 51 now and, you know, what am I going to get done in the next 20 years? And look at him, and he's just so inspirational.
Thank you, Roger, for opening up new vistas for me.
I would just thank you for you've gotten me through so much with when I was in the hospital and everything, and like he's allowed me to just keep going on in my life and giving me what it is I need each and every day to improve.
Don't stop what you're doing. You're so inspirational. You know, you're one of my role models. You've changed my life, and I can see you changing the life. Like I introduced my twin sister to you, and I can see you changing her life, changing her attitude too. You know, you save people's lives.
It means everything to me. It's actually healed me up inside and made it so that I can feel like I'm myself. I feel like I'm myself now.
Thank you. The ability to trust myself, trust my voice, trust that I have a gift. I'm so grateful that I found him and helped me grow and evolve into the person I am today. Thank you.
That always gets me whenever I see that, and because I would have never told you that that would have come from me, but it came from everything that I've walked through in my life, everything that I have experienced. Now, that was a few years ago, because I'm 72 now, and I am going to continue bringing this forth because the only thing I want is people to know their importance, why they exist, and to own their authentic selves. And this is Stan. He's the other member of our team, and he's so incredibly valuable. And what happened was more than 3 years ago, I saw Stan. We were in a group. He made a comment, I think it was on Facebook, and I saw, this is the person I need to speak to, because I could feel that he was in some sort of difficulty. I just intuitively knew that. We set up a meeting, and then I discovered who he was, because he didn't quite get that he was this brilliant coach. I did. I saw it right away. I told him all the things that he could do, and now that is what's happened. And he's such an integral part, and I'm so thrilled that he's a part of this team. Then we have Yarna, who I met just a few months ago, just a little while ago. And again, the same thing. The moment I saw him, I'm listening to this person and I'm thinking, how could he be this aware? How could he have this kind of enlightened consciousness at this point? Because he's so young. I'm meeting him at 23. I'm thinking there's 50 years here of difference. How is this happening? But that's who he is. But I'm going to let him tell you the story of these photos. Yarna.
All right, thanks, Roger. Yeah, there's quite a difference between those two photos. But if you see my view in the left one, kind of observing and questioning myself, what is going on here? And this basically explains a big part of my life that I questioned a lot. What's going on here? Quite knowing, quite intuitive, but because usually in this world, people saying one thing and feeling the other. People having like the mask on, and also this photos for me, pictures, family, I was horrified for it because I never knew how to look. My sister always, oh yeah, let's smile in the photo camera. And I'm like, I don't feel like smiling right now. Like, can't you all just be real and honest and vulnerable? So it always has been interesting for me to observe. That led me basically to an early depression in the age of 10, where I decided to stay, though, for sure, I'm still here, but really writing down letters that I don't want to live anymore. Self-harming in the age of 10, really very, very insecure, very self-doubted. But I received the information from, I believe, higher self, if I now look back to it, also eventually guides, that I have to stay, and it would be selfish to leave. I cannot leave the loved ones behind, and one day I'll be able to share what I'm seeing. And this is basically then the journey I went myself on to experience moments in life, lots of partying, lots of going out, basically looking for love everywhere, rather than finding it in who I already am, in the wholeness that I am. Now I really looked outside for love, wanted to belong to people, just to the society. It never worked out that well, which led me then towards the picture you see on the right side. Really, after my years of going out, not following my intuition, not expressing my true feelings, and following the crowd rather than following my inner knowing and the wisdom I possess, I actually just wanted to be loved. But yeah, I haven't gave love to myself. This is why I ended up there. It was almost 2 years ago. When I woke up in the emergency car, I asked the man what has happened, and he said to me that I was walking up the highway, 5:30 in the morning, Sunday morning after a night out with the people. I couldn't remember anything, but it made a snap. I realized in this very moment right away that now or never is the time for me to change, to follow through what I already know deep within myself. And I believe every one of us knows their answers. And I really took action, really made a decision in this moment to really day in, day out doing what I love and being honest and true to myself and to who I am, to my feelings, my emotions, and really learn to communicate that on an even deeper level. If you follow to the next page, Roger. So now you can see me, after I've done lots of work, I was fortunate enough to stand next to Dr. Aspen, who is running a multi-million-dollar company, transforming lives, really very, very inspirational. And yeah, Benjamin J. Harvey on the right-hand side, also multi-million-dollar company he is owning with lots of students, where I also got educated as coach by him, as results coach, which is very, very great. He's a fabulous human being, lots of knowledge in energy healing, coaching as well. And to the next page, that basically explains where I am currently. I'm challenging myself physically. So I put myself into, not just physically, also mentally, into extreme situations where I develop an even stronger body-mind connection, because we have to, all of this mindset work, I like it, coaching, it's great, I love it, but we also have to feel what we have to feel. We cannot go around the feeling, because the healing comes through the feeling. Same with me, being in this car accident, to go back there, being in the hospital, 3 days took me to walk out of the hospital. I healed myself very rapidly. I recovered very, very fast. because I put my mind into the state of I am already healed. I am already that person in the future self. So my body reacted differently to it than the people who say eventually, oh, poor me, and who losing themselves. I chose to go for PTG, post-traumatic growth, rather than PTSD, what the most of the people going out with. But yeah, I challenge myself. I choose feeling, and through feeling follows healing. I was also fortunate enough to go into the army base to help the men, also challenging their mental states, and guided them through the ice bath as well, and through some breath work after that, which was very beautiful. And I go back to Roger, your stage, and it's just time to change the world, in my opinion, and this is what I'm personally dedicating my life to.
Perfect. Now, I want to talk about something else too, because we've all heard about mindset, and as Yarna said, he got his mindset changed. I had to do the same thing. You experience yourself, your life, and the world through your cognitive processes, or how you choose to perceive anything. Many of your perceptions you learn from others. Any difficulty you experience in your life is due to your faulty perceptions. You can change them all. What that means is, and you may have heard this, we are all programmed when we're very young, and most doctors will tell you it's like between the ages of 1 to 7. We've got things formed within us from our families, from those around us where we grew up. That is what happened for me, which is challenging. What's challenging for me to accept something new coming forth that my family didn't understand. No one around me understood as well. And it took me to a study in neuroscience. Now, the other thing that occurred in 2020 is that I discovered that I had ADHD. Now, that's something that we will all kind of look at and deal with in certain ways. However, it explained everything. It explained why I was able to receive information, why I was able to access cosmic information, which is what I've done, and that is universally helpful for everyone. I did not focus on things as the way most other people did. We have what we call now neural diversity, meaning that we all come in differently with our consciousness and where we have allowed ourselves to develop that. But any particular condition that we have, that we discover, is valuable. And I had no idea of this. But if you understand, neuroscience is an interdisciplinary science that works closely with other disciplines such as mathematics, linguistics, engineering, computer science, chemistry, philosophy, psychology, and medicine. Everything. We don't do anything in our lives other than what we have allowed our neuroscience to develop to. That's a story that you will understand in just a second, because we all have the ability to cause that to happen.
What's going on in the brain when you learn? In order to learn anything, whether it's math, a foreign language, guitar, or how to dribble a basketball, you need to create and strengthen pathways in your brain. Think about shooting a free throw. Know that feeling when you've got it down and don't even have to think about it? That's muscle memory. Here's the thing. Muscle memory lives in the brain, not the muscles. Your brain controls everything your muscles do, and it does this by activating specific neural pathways for each and every movement. These are functional pathways, neurons working together to achieve a goal. Say you're learning how to shoot a free throw. If it's your first time doing it, you don't yet have a pathway for that movement in your brain. You need to create it. Let's use an analogy to look at what's happening in the brain during this time. When you're first learning, your brain is like a forest full of trees and dense foliage, with no clear pathway between point A and point B. As you learn the mechanics of shooting a free throw, you create a trail through the forest. Now you can shoot the free throw because you've created that pathway in your brain, but you probably don't make many shots because it's so new. The pathway isn't very clear yet. In order to improve your free throw, you need to refine and strengthen the free throw pathway in your brain. The way you do that is through practice. Practice gradually widens the trail through the trees, turning it into a dirt road between A and B. You're starting to get pretty good now. You're making more free throws than not. you don't have to think about the mechanics as much. That's because the pathway gets stronger after each practice rep, and you've done a lot of reps. With even more practice, the dirt road turns into a paved road connecting A and B, allowing information to be transmitted at a faster rate. Now you're a 70% free throw shooter, and when you step up to the line, you don't even have to think about it. Eventually, with enough practice, what started as a trail has become a full-blown highway. Now you're a master, draining almost every free throw, and the movement is completely second nature. Scientists call this plasticity, and it's your brain's innate ability to create and strengthen connections between neurons. These connections are the path through the forest. It's not magic, it's neuroscience.
When I started discovering neuroscience, I had to go, because I discovered the ADHD, which led me to this deep dive, and it caused me to understand why my program worked and why my life worked to move through everything, because I was doing it every single day. Neuroscience explains why you need to write down your goals if you want to achieve them. And that's what I'd been doing. And it was something that was giving me information to move through every difficulty, because the difficulties only existed in my thinking. And that is true for every person. We only can perceive things that we allow ourselves to create things that we can perceive. And sometimes our perceptions are limited. Most times they're limited because of where we've been, what we've experienced, and how we have chosen to think about ourselves. Okay, we all know we can't create a magnificent life overnight, but we can do so when we put in the time and effort. Everyone can. And I've proven this because there would be no other reason that I would still be alive now, because I've almost died several times, and I've want to understand why I had those incidents, where they were moving me, because they were moving me to my authentic self. They were advising me to accept who I was, which is exactly the work that I do with everyone else, because I want people to understand their essential importance in this world. But these will be the guaranteed results and benefits of the first 31 days of the program. This is what I want to talk about now, because these are the things that I absolutely guarantee if someone does this program just in the first 31 days. And I can say that because I've seen it. The video that you saw in the beginning was from December of 2021. I had to test this. I had to know for sure. And those were the results that came. And I'd never seen people transform and change so much and so quickly in my life, as some of the members there said. And this is why I had to keep bringing this forward. You will understand your unique life purpose. Every single person has one. You will recognize and own more of your inherent worth and value. You were born with it. You will acknowledge and receive the value and benefit of all your life experiences. You will learn that you have never failed at anything and always succeeded in creating wealth for yourself. All of your experiences have given you that just when you start to understand them. You will lift your self-confidence and self-esteem to levels you only thought were possible. You will leave with usable and tangible techniques to continue your journey of self-actualization as you become unstoppable. You will no longer search outside of yourself for motivation, for you will know how to manifest it for yourself. You will see the way forward to a successful, worthwhile, fulfilling career. You will have all the puzzle pieces of your life put together in a way that leads you to whatever happiness and prosperity you choose to have. You will release your self-limiting thoughts and actions and experience a new level of overall well-being. Finally, you will understand the importance of a powerful mindset and know how to maintain yours to reach every potential within you. There's one other story that I want to throw in here quickly, because why is this important? Why would you want to have this? And when I told you about my inability to understand why I was being changed and starting to teach voice, that's what I started doing in 1988. I thought I was terrible. Those coaches kept pushing me, but I thought, no, I can't do this. I did it. Because of my ability to receive information, I intuitively figured out how to do this, and I created a business that created so much money. It was unbelievable. I had a partner in Australia that we put an online business together, created in a few years, we created over $1 million just from selling this one product from something that I thought I couldn't do. This is why I never allow people to give up on who they are and those things that are within them that could be developed if they don't judge themselves. Okay, now you have your beginning phase and you are invited to remain in the program as long as you wish, because in the 31 days, you will have those results that I mentioned. However, we know that we don't change instantly. We don't change overnight. This is why I encourage people to stay in as long as you can, because every day you're becoming a new person, which is what we do anyway. But these are the results you will have, and the benefit you will know how to manifest your authentic and magnificent life. You will have the skills, the tools. You only have to complete your daily assignments and attend one weekly group coaching call for your guarantee to remain in effect. And you will have all those results and the benefit of becoming your best self. You see, I put this in because I'm guaranteeing that anyone that comes in will have those results. Because I know that if you show up at a weekly coaching call, we will work through whatever might be going on for you. And every day, as we saw in neuroscience, you're changing. You're creating neural pathways that will now allow you to reach that level of success. There's no difference between you and any other hugely, massively successful person, except how you've thought of yourself and how much effort and time you have put into changing your beliefs, which are, for all of us, are limiting. There's no limit to where we might go, by the way. Now, I want to just show you, I just want to give you an idea, because I am so dedicated to this work. And I've always been that way my entire life, which I could have never explained to you. I took my first personal development course in 1972. Which didn't make any sense to me, but I knew I would be there. But then I went on and I did everything else. I said, I still got to get there. I had therapy and counseling. I had the books and the periodicals I spent over the years. These are just things I can sort of keep track of now. More books, and I mean, I listened to everything. I would go to the gym even, and people would think I listened to music. No, I'm listening to audio books of learning something and changing my brain. Workshops and seminars, I've done so many of them, and I've spent way more than that. Those are just the receipts that I could find. That's just what that is. But then what about my time? I charged $300 an hour for when I was working with other people, and especially in my coaching, my vocal coaching and private coaching, and I've done it for more than 34 years. So let's talk about that, about $300 an hour. And this is what I mean, it was shocking when I sat down and looked at this, and I didn't do it myself. I had someone else put all this together, because I don't typically look at those things, but I had to appreciate the value of the wealth of information and experience that I bring into something and put into this program. But it's beyond that. I know that it's important for our world, the more people who are able to do the same thing, who are able to produce something, to create something, to love themselves, to embrace who they are authentically. That's what happens. Now, this is how we do it, and I'm explaining why it worked. We have 6 group calls per week, so you come to one. We just did it so we would have all the hours covered, so we could reach anybody in the world. So there's no reason for anyone to miss a call. And you can submit one question or dilemma per month that we can work on. I'll work on it with you, or one of the other coaches will help you. You can access our group chat library and replays. We're going to have all of those there, so you can revisit them if you can't make certain calls, but they will all be there. You can access the private Facebook group, which we've created a new one that's going to be so active, where you can share and interact with others. Then I created a program called Finding Answers Within, which was, I talk about how I develop my meditation, how I develop my automatic writing, for those of you who want to go in that direction. Meditation is the most valuable thing, but we're also going to have Yarna is going to put in many of his workshops in this program, so people will have access to that, and working with him privately as well. But he will have things in here that you'll be able to access in the program itself. But this is what that was. That's what the total value. You just think about that. And I know I got to talk about this. I've struggled with this for quite a while because I know that what I have, I could charge thousands of dollars. I could charge so much money for this. And I had what I called an executive coaching program, which means that people could work with me for a year, where we're doing it every week and working on your project, getting something done. But, that was the baseline for that. But I had to come to a complete surrender to my conscience, and I'll tell you why. And my inexplicable need to help as many people as possible. I devised this plan available to the first 20 enrollments, because I'm doing some other things where I'm going to take this much larger, but I want to give the opportunity to people to come in now, because I don't want people to think they can't afford something. Yesterday, I sent out something, and the first email I received was from someone saying, "I wish I could afford your program," because they knew the value that it would bring them. But I said, I got to change. And I actually ended up watching another seminar where another lady was going through the same dilemma. We have these hearts. I'm an empath. I care about people so much. I love people more than you can know. When I first started coaching, I didn't even get money because I would forget. I would forget to ask people for money because I just cared about them progressing. That's always who I've been. But I still came up with something that people can do now. So there's no reason. I'll see how quickly this goes, because I know I'm going to get a lot more publicity. I'm doing a really big interview on Monday. And so I know that's going to bring me so much more notoriety, because this guy that's interviewing me says, I need to push your program. This needs to be in the world. And I'm so grateful that he is doing it. But I know that's going to bring up more. So until that happens, you can have, we have two options: the unlimited access with live group coaching calls for the entire year for $15.97. It's paid in full. That's a savings $167. However, if you need to do monthly payments, that's $147. Now, I know that amount of money is what people will pay on coffee. So it's not a big investment. And this is something that will change your life, that will give you the life that you want to have. So, but if you don't want the coaching calls, you can even do something. It's called do it yourself self-actualization. Now, I can say that because there are several people in the program now who are doing this. They don't come to the coaching calls. They're just doing the assignment every day, and they're changing. And I want you to understand, we're going to show you that too, why that works. And I was so surprised, because I thought maybe they needed to have some hand holding, but certain people can do it on their own. Others will do better with coaching calls. And I know that was me. I needed to talk to people. So that's why I have the options. But those, if you decide to go that way, it's $87 a month. Anyone can afford that, unless they don't want to become their best self, unless you don't want to really develop, because see, I'm guaranteeing it all. So I know it will work for you. Now, I didn't want anyone to feel they could not create their extraordinary life due to financial constraints. It is far more important for me to witness more people becoming happy, successful, and prosperous, which will also help our world. That may not be a concept that everyone will accept. However, we all exist in the world to contribute, and we do that energetically. And the more that we become happy, uplifted, in love with ourselves, we're putting that energy into the world. We could study all the quantum sciences now and understand that is actual fact. And there are many people out there talking about it now, and you can find the evidence of people like, if you left Greg Braden or Dr. Bruce Lipton or Joe Dispenza, all those folks who know the importance of each individual offering their essence, their love to the world to change everything. That's what's going on. Now, there is no longer a barrier between you and the life you want to have. One you might have only imagined was possible. Now you will know you can live a magnificent life. And I am living proof of that, because I've done it. And I know that anyone can do it. And it just takes such little effort for you to become who you're meant to be in this world. Now, this is how it works. When you come into the program, as we said, the first 31 days, you are guaranteed to receive all those results. You have access to the program. You will receive an assignment each day. And in that assignment, I have done a video where I'm giving you a message that I had received through my information. And then I talk to you about what it came up for me. What did it do for me? How did I use it? But then we give you this wonderful thing where you write, because then when you get in touch with who you are, that's an internal thing, you will have all of the answers. You will find the answers, and it's extraordinary how quickly this happens. And again, you've seen some of the results of that. And these are some of the things that's breaking down. We give you an introduction, then we go day by day. You're receiving an assignment, and you submit the assignment. That's what you do. That's all you've got to do. And then show up at one coaching call. Your life changes. That's what happens. This is how it looks. You'll see the video, and on the left, you can see the different days of what we're talking about. Having you start to understand your value, giving yourself more, discovering the value of your life, how mindfulness expands, giving you the tools to start to expand, because it's only mindfulness. That's the only thing that will help you, is changing your mindset to create the life that you want to have. Then this is an example of some of the questions that we've put in. And when we put this together, we had such a great team, and Stan put so much of this together. I would put the first part, he'd come in and work with it. So we made sure that you had everything that you need. No stone would be left unturned. You're going to access, understand every aspect of you and how brilliant you are, what genius you have inside of you. If you remember in the first video that you saw, Carrie, who I love so much, the Black lady, the English lady, for her to say she knew there was something else she could do in her life, that took me back to me being that 19-year-old kid sitting at an accounting desk, knowing that there was more I could do in my life, but I was stuck. I never want to see people stuck in their life. Your life is too short not to live it in a way where you're happy, where you're successful, where you're having loving relationships. All of it is possible, and all that has to happen is you just have to change your mind. That's all that it is. Now, we're opening up the new enrollments tomorrow, because we're changing the entire site. You will see that. And we're going to be mailing this out to everyone, so you'll know. We'll send the replay of this presentation, because I want everyone to have it. My goal, and I'm determined, some people might have heard me say this, that I'm determined to heal the world, and I'm going to do that. The way I'm going to do it, because I'm not going to stop, and now I have all these other people. I have Yarna and I have Stan, who are younger than me, much younger, so they can keep carrying this work forward, because I know what it will do and how our world will change. And that is my goal. I was told that this work could change anyone's life, and the more people become successful, happy, that changes the world. So I'm looking to make those people, allow you to become your best, most authentic, loving, prosperous self. And I know that this work will do it for you. And I just want to thank you for listening to this program and this presentation. And where you get to the registration page, it may be a little different in the prices than when you might have heard it now, because as I said, this is about demand. And I know that after I do these presentations and get this publicity, that it will be a greater demand, and I'm not going to overwhelm myself, but I just want to serve as many people as possible. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Roger. Thanks.
Great.
Thanks, Marcus. Marcus is here as well.
Yes,
just stop recording.